Hey everyone, welcome to the Depot. My name is Brad, and today I'm going to be doing another house building video, I guess you could call it. It's a challenge, kind of. I saw it on Tumblr, and it was like a base game, start a home challenge thingy, and the only rule is that you've got to keep it under 20,000, which is kind of working to a budget, and that's something that I'm not very good at, but I tried my very best, and I managed to actually do it, so yeah. But budgeting isn't kind of my thing, so I'll probably steer away from these kind of videos for a while. So the house is 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. Obviously, kitchen, living, dining, and all that usual stuff as well. And I kind of want to do something a bit different with this starter home. Like I've seen quite a few people do, cottagey feels, and EA themselves with The Sims 4 gave us their like little bungalows, and so obviously I had to keep it like a bungalow because I couldn't. There's no way just under 20 grand you can do like a 2-story house and furnish it. I mean, and keep it 2 bed. I mean, you probably could, but it wouldn't have looked as. I feel like you can do a bit more with a bungalow, put it that way. Like you can make it a little bit more decorative and stuff and intricate, while keeping it below a certain price. In this case, 20,000, which is kind of not a lot, and I really can't stress that. I never noticed before. It is hard. But yeah, sorry. So I wanted to do something kind of modern, just because I've never really seen. I'm saying this, but there's probably like a zillion of them out there realistically. But this is just my take on it, so who cares? So yeah, I know it's kind of gonna. The most expensive thing for the house was actually the doors, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because I needed it. It's a modern house, and I kind of spent more on the windows and the doors than anything else realistically. Possibly the kitchen, because that is kind of the most expensive room in I think everyone's house build, unless they do like a dance room or whatever. But yeah, and I went for like because it's also a base game build, and I kind of didn't want to. It was hard basically to not use certain things like the spa day render. I don't know what you'd call it, like plaster, but in the UK, if it's outside the house, it's called a render. So yeah, the one from spa day works so much better for white, but unfortunately I couldn't use it because, like I said, it's a base game build. So we have like a grayish color, which kind of works out. It's not bad or anything. It's just not as nice as a white would be. But you guys can change that if you don't want a base game house. And yeah. So of course with the roof I went with the same kind of, it's like the close, I know it's not a modern tile, but like I said before in my executive mansion build, it's the closest to like a slate roof, like a slate tile. So that's why I went for it. And it is the darkest, I believe. Well, at least in my game anyway. And I'm pretty sure it's base game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I did put a few things in and I'll call them out along the way, but they're changed out on the gallery, the one that's on the gallery anyway, so do not worry about that. But yeah, I'll just putting in like the windows now. I kind of wanted like a indoor, outdoor kind of sitting area outside, and that's what that little cutout is with the 3 glass panes from the kitchen. And it actually turns out quite nice. Obviously, I didn't have the money to like put a sitting area outside in there, or light it up at all, but I guess I could just make out that I've left that to you guys to do your own spin on it. So yeah, I couldn't use the pillars that came with Get Together. They like just plain solid square pillars. I don't know how you'd say it. Like they're the best for modern because they're just square or rectangle in a pillar's case. So I put those ones in because they were the only ones that came in a black, and they were also the cheapest ones that came in a black. And that's kind of the basics of this build, interior wise anyway, is like, oh, that's the cheapest neutral thing. The cheapest thing that comes in a neutral tone. Haha. So yeah, that's what basically a lot of this house is. And I just realised that the bathroom was way too big and it was going to offset the doors to the bedroom, so I had to make it a little bit smaller, which is still fine because obviously it's a basic bathroom. There's not a lot going on other than the necessities, because that's basically what this house is. I did put it in the description. It's very plain. There's not awful lot to do, but as someone who's just started a legacy challenge, I greatly appreciate having a house that has the bare essentials. Considering my sim is currently sleeping was in a bush. She just bought a tent, so I'm pretty proud. Sorry, went on a tangent, my bad. So then just sorting out the lights, which I do change, I think, in obviously the master bedroom, or the one that's obviously just not for a single bed. That's from Get to Work, so I switch that out for the one that's in the front bedroom, and then the spotlight in the kitchen I replaced for 2 wall lights because that was way too expensive as well. And this is what I mean by it's hard to work to a budget. I mean, seriously, you have an idea of certain things that you use. You're like, oh, I'm doing a modern thing, so I use spotlights, but spotlights cost 150 per light, which is why we need to have some form of little ones, actual spotlights. But never mind, who cares? So obviously, it's because it's such a small house. I didn't really do it room by room. I sort of plastered the walls and like put the flooring in. You know. Oh my god, I said that as if like I actually did it with my hands. No, I think I end up deleting that loo roll at the end, or like the toilet roll. Just because it costs like I think it cost genuinely like £65, and I was like, that's not how much toilet roll costs. Like, even scented, triple ply, like goodbye. So yeah, the kitchen's also got no clutter. It's quite plain. I will say that for this house, if you're expecting clutter and for it to look lived in, it really doesn't, because as I said, base game, starter, home. Didn't really work out. So I went for like a black and then just like a white appliance, because it seemed the most neutral, and it is the most neutral cabinet option, I think, obviously, except for the white, but it's not a white. It's like a purpley kind of, I can't really describe it, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I went for the black with the, like I've mentioned it before, like the Amsterdam-y tiles. They just remind me of Amsterdam toilets. That's all. I'm well aware. It's like technically a railroad tile, but, or a railway tile. Oh my god, and yeah, there it is. The bed from City Living that was really, really good because it was used, it was cheaper, and it was under budget. Excuse me. But yeah, I do delete it in the end, and I just replace it with the cheapest bed in the base game. I think I know, you know the one I'm on about, just the one that, it's in my Fresh Start Let's Play as well. I think most people use it, but yeah, that's the bed that is finally with it. And what I'm putting, the plant that I'm putting here does stay here. It actually does. But the cubby boxes, that the dresser, you know, they actually are called cubby boxes, but just in case you didn't know, they actually get moved into the hallway in the end, I believe. Yeah, because when I tested the house, they just, Sims couldn't get into the bed because that was in the way. So that's no longer an issue. So yeah, just moving on to the living/dining center of the house. The living room has like a 2-story window to the front, and just FYI, it's not on camera, on video or anything, because I completely forgot about it, but I do that wall, which looks out to the front in the living room, as a feature green all the way up, and it's the same green as the furniture. Yeah. Which, by the way, if you remember, I did put a light up at the top as well, which is also the same green as the furniture. So there's a little pop of colour in there with green, but that's it. Everything else is black and white. And yeah, I know you might think that it's weird that I chose a white table instead of the black option, but it's purely because the chairs that matched the black option were too expensive. And kind of made my budget go over. So, alas, they were taken out. And then just putting the wood, like laminate, I guess you could call it, just on the outside porches. They're not really porches. They're at that level where Sims can hop up without steps. So, yeah. And I wanted to add that because it kind of makes it look a bit more modern, I feel. It's like a aspect of a modern house that I think, yeah. And then just a plant in there as well. I know it's the same one, but it's the cheapest one that's actually big enough to be put into a corner. So that's why I put it there. And then moving on to the obvious terrain paints, because doing a floor is way too expensive. And then I think afterwards I go like over it with a little gravel thing that I always do on all my builds, just to make it look a bit more natural. And I end up doing it like all the way around the house, but obviously I'm going to cut that out for you guys because who wants to see that? And it's literally such a slow process. So yeah, you won't have to worry. There we go. Now moving on to the flower bed at the front, which I kind of struggled with because I couldn't really do, how do I put it? I couldn't do like, oh, I'll just paint it now and then add flowers to fill up the mud. Like I had to be careful because I could only use a certain amount of shrubs and flowers because of the budget. And I could only use the cheap ones. Like I could only use 2 of those, and I probably would have used 3 or 4 if I'd realistically done this the way I would want to without a budget. So my bad, but it ends up looking okay. And just a little bit of shrubbery at the front just to make it look more natural. It is kind of all green and white, so don't expect colours, because colours cost money. Money that we don't have at the start of the game. Just go collect some rocks and then you'll be fine. Or some frogs. You know, the usual. So now obviously putting in the things that Sim needs to pay bills, the mailbox, and of course my jaw dropped when I realised that the wheelie bin that every house needs is $220 simoleons. So yeah, that kind of put a crump in. Like literally you can see me pause and check my budget and be like, oh my god, no, really? But yeah, so if bins were like the usual £20 that they should be, 20 simoleons, it would have been fine. But no. So yeah, obviously I have to make now that I've put the shrubs in, I have to make it look a little bit more natural, you know, cover all the stems with the mud, and then I go around it with the gravel just to create like a flower bed effect without paying for it. I really love terrain paints. Saved me in The Sims 3, and it's continuing to save me in The Sims 4. So obviously coming to the end of the construction part of the video, you guys, so I just want to say that the build will be on the gallery, or is on the gallery by the time this video is live anyway, under my name, TheSimDepot, which has changed from BWD17 because I did change it, not realizing that you could. So yes, that'll be easy for you guys to find it anyway. So now just adding in a few details with the dirt/grass terrain paint to make it look a bit more natural and add a bit more depth to the just outside of the house, and obviously the plot of land around the house, because grass doesn't all look the same. So yeah, moving on to some screenshots now, guys. And yeah, the final build from the front. I think we go through the interior rooms and then finish up with a picture of the backyard aspect, the back garden, the back of the house, who knows. So yeah, thanks for watching, you guys. I really do appreciate it. If you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you and goodbye.